Unsurprisingly, CSGO matchmaking is bad. But despite me making a video about this, some things have recently changed, and today I'm going to be talking about mainly the situation with removing the bots and how I think it added to the absolute dumpster fire that already was matchmaking. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and comment telling me what you think is wrong with matchmaking, and if you're new to this channel, or just in the 85% of people that watch my content and still aren't subscribed, subscribing would be greatly appreciated as we're getting really close to 20k. But for now, let's get right into the video. So if you've been out of the loop for a bit, let's talk about exactly what happened with bots in CSGO and why they aren't really a thing anymore. In an update on January 7th, in the CSGO patch notes, quote, when a player disconnects or is kicked in classic competitive and wingman modes, they will no longer be replaced by a bot. And then less importantly, if the other team leaves, or if the entire other team leaves rather, one bot will be left on the other team, idling in spawn. So let's first talk about some good things about this. First of all, I think it isn't entirely a horrible decision for them to do this, and feel free to disagree with me about this, but once a team had a bot previously, you're gonna get an enemy just flat out running at you at the beginning of the round, maybe killing one of you, or just completely gaining info as to where your team is right away, which is incredibly annoying and just against the integrity of how a 5v5 game should work, considering that player will just die and then take a bot right away. Now, is this the correct solution by just completely removing bots? Well, I honestly don't think there was another real option. The bots were sometimes completely sporadic and didn't listen to radio commands telling them to stay, so they might even end up just running into the enemy and dying right at the beginning of the round. So although that might not provide your team or your best player who just ends up running at the enemies every round a second life, I think it was the best solution because they were kinda unbalanced and just gave the best player a second life. But here's where I'm gonna flip the switch and say how this update completely ruins certain things in the game. For example, in a game I just played a few days ago, during warm-up, the enemies never had 5 players on their team at one point. They never had their entire team on the server at one point, meaning usually that the game shouldn't start. But I guess this update caused it so apparently the game just starts even though it may be a 4v5 and one team never had all the players join. Obviously, this is an issue. The enemy team has absolutely no control over this, so why should they be punished for an entire game? The game should just clearly be remade. Now, you might ask, well, why don't they just surrender to save time then? Wouldn't it be a fair option as well? Well, that would be somewhat of a fair option as well if you just take into consideration how much time you're wasting, until you realize that it also takes an unholy amount of time for a lever to be considered as abandoned. Now, this game took 7 full rounds for this guy to be considered abandoned. So you start a game 4v5 for the entirety of warm-up, get decimated for the first 7 rounds of the game and waste at least 10 minutes plus the warm-up time, and then you have the option to surrender and for it to count as a loss even though you've been in a 4v5 since round 1 and your player hasn't been there since warm-up if he even joined the server at all, which I don't think he did. Either way, there was never 5 people on the enemy team at one point, so the match should not start. So what should be done about players that abandon, leading to completely unfair matches? Well, in my opinion, if the player is going to be gone for more than one full round during the first 3 rounds of the game should just be completely cancelled and remade. Either a ringer should be brought into the game or it should just be completely scrapped and everyone should be sent to the lobby since it's only 3 rounds in and probably best for the team that has a lever and doesn't really waste that much time. But if a player leaves later in the game, maybe instead of just making it a 4v5 and not giving that team a bonus or anything, maybe that team should receive an extra $500 or something in loss bonus so they're able to get more buys in, or at least a better buy, more nades, or at least something to give them a chance at some map control so they aren't completely money broken the entire game, even though it already is a 4v5. So you kinda gotta give them something. Now, the ringer option could be good here as well, but I'm not sure how it would work specifically, and I'm sure CSGO would not implement it because there would be so many complicated things like if a ringer joins in the middle of the match and the team ends up winning, would they lose elo if that team would lose instead? How much elo do they gain if that team wins and they only played like a couple rounds? There would just be a lot of specifics to be looked into, and I don't want to get too in depth for this, and I'm sure CSGO devs don't care enough to actually implement a system like this. So just giving the team more money, or at least let's say they have a $1,900 loss bonus, maybe divide that loss bonus somewhat among the other 4 remaining players on the team so they can have extra money to buy, or at least give them all like $500 or something. This is just me spitballing ideas at this point, and if you have some idea specifically catering to how you could give a team with less players some sort of money bonus, I would love to see your ideas in the comments, but I don't want to get too in depth on it. I just kind of want to put the idea out there and see what you guys think. So besides the constant 4v5s, or worse honestly, in matches, what else is wrong with matchmaking? Well, the list honestly goes on and on. The ranking system is complete garbage. I recently made a video going on entirely about this. It's completely unclear how to rank up, and when you get something absurd like 15 wins in a row just to rank up to MG1 and then drop like 35 kills, you still end up D-ranking right away, so something definitely needs to be looked at there. This is actually surprisingly something people tend to disagree with me about and think that the ranking system is okay, which is something I am very confident and very passionate about, that it is absolute garbage. I have 5,000 hours in the game and played MM a lot of that, so I'm confident it's very bad. But please let me know if I'm wrong. Please let me know what you guys think about it, what your experience is, how many wins you have in a row and not ranked up and then just D-rank. It's incredibly odd, but besides that, I do think CSGO did well with the Broken Fang Premier mode, which was recently added at the beginning of the operation, but I would love to see them switch to an elo system like Faceit or even Valorant, or at least give some idea as to where players' ranks stand. But as far as I know, that's not currently possible under the Glico 2 system that they currently use. So I highly doubt they're going to change the entire Glico 2 system, but that's just another thing I cover in the ranking system video that I made a couple of weeks ago. So I don't even want to get that far into that mess. Just know that the ranking system, from my perspective and seemingly from a lot of other players' perspectives, just isn't rewarding to the player and isn't really fun to play matchmaking if you're trying to rank up, which, I mean, everybody can argue that your rank doesn't really matter in MM, but for newer players it can be kind of annoying. But yeah, for now, I think that does cover everything that I wanted to talk about. If you guys do have thoughts once again about this and enjoyed this video, leaving a like and commenting does help me out a lot. Specifically, doing both apparently does get my video traffic up a lot more, so it would mean a lot to me for this video to be exposed to more people, so leaving a like and comment would help me out a lot. And once again, if you are new, subscribing to the channel would be greatly appreciated as well. But for now, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.